The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. 47 different species filled the massive room, their strange forms creating a sea of alien diversity. Some floated in glass tanks filled with thick gas. Others stood on multiple legs that clicked against the crystal floor. A few hung from the ceiling like living shadows. At the center of it all sat the Council's most powerful members. The Silicon Collective's representative sparkled like a living diamond. The Whisperfolk's delegate was barely visible, just a faint outline in the air. The architects towered over everyone else, their rock-like bodies carved with ancient symbols. Commander Timon stood at the speaker's platform. His blue skin showed old battle scars, and his 6 arms bore the marks of many wars. He had served the Helix Empire for 30 years, fighting in conflicts across the galaxy. But today, he looked worried. The Council was discussing a problem. Humans had been expanding too fast. In just 30 years, they had built colonies on 17 worlds. They dug deep into planets, taking metals and crystals. They changed the air and water to suit their needs. This made many alien species angry. Counselor Veltara of the Silicon Collective spoke first. Her voice rang like breaking glass. These humans are dangerous. They take what they want without asking. They change whole planets in just a few years. We must stop them before they take more. The other council members agreed. The gas-breathing Whisperfolk whispered their support through the air. The architects rumbled their approval, making the whole building shake. Species after species stood to demand action against humanity. Taman had requested permission to speak. He had fought humans for 12 years along the border between human and Helix space. He knew them better than anyone else in the room. Honored, Council. Taman began, his voice carrying the weight of experience. I have fought these humans for many years. I have seen their ships burn and watched their soldiers die. But I tell you now, do not start a war with them. The hall fell quiet. Many council members looked surprised. Taman was known as a brave warrior. Why was he afraid of humans? I have studied them, Taman continued. They are not like us. When we fight for territory or resources. When we lose, we accept defeat and move on. Humans are different. They fight for ideas and memories. They do not forget. They do not forgive. And they never, ever give up. Veltara's crystal form flashed with anger. Are you saying we should fear these soft-skinned creatures? They have only existed in space for a few decades. We have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Taman shook his head. I am not saying fear them. I am saying understand them. In my battles with human ships, I have seen things that still give me nightmares. I once destroyed a human colony ship. There were families aboard, children, elderly, civilians. Any reasonable species would surrender to save innocent lives. The hall was completely silent now. Even the Whisperfolk stopped their constant murmuring. The humans did not surrender, Taman said quietly. Instead, they turned their ship into a weapon. They used their life support systems to create bombs. They sent their children away in escape pods, then crashed their ship into my flagship. The last message they sent was not a plea for mercy. It was a promise of revenge. He paused, remembering that terrible day. That was 8 years ago. 2 weeks later, human ships appeared in my home system. They did not attack military targets. They hunted down every ship and station that had been involved in that battle. They found my family's home on the 3rd moon of Helix Prime. They left a message. Your commander killed our children. Now he knows how it feels. The council members shifted uncomfortably. Many had families on distant worlds. Taman's voice grew stronger. But they did not stop there. They followed every ship from that battle to their home ports. They memorized the names of every crew member. Over the next 3 years, human ships appeared wherever those crews went. Not to kill them quickly, but to remind them they were being watched. Some of my soldiers went insane from the fear. Counselor Drex of the Bone Eaters stood up. His skeletal form rattled as he spoke. Surely you exaggerate. No species could track individuals across the galaxy for years. I have the records, Taman replied. Human intelligence networks are unlike anything we have seen. They do not just gather information about military targets. They learn about families, friends, favorite foods, childhood pets. They know things about my own past that I had forgotten. He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of as many council members as he could. I am not afraid of human weapons. Their ships are good, but not better than ours. Their soldiers are brave, but so are many species. What terrifies me is their memory. They remember every slight, every insult, every act of aggression. And they pass these memories to their children. Veltara's voice cut through the air like a blade. Enough of this fear-mongering. The humans have taken 17 worlds without permission. They must be stopped. A limited military action will teach them their place. Other council members began to speak their support. The vote was called. 43 species voted for military action against humanity. Only 4 voted against, including Taemin's Helix Empire. As the council prepared to adjourn, Taemin made one last attempt. Please, honored colleagues, I beg you to reconsider. When you attack humans, you do not just start a battle. You start a blood feud that will last for generations. They will not stop hunting you until every being who supported this action is dead. But the decision was made. The Galactic Coalition would send a fleet to human space. They would destroy a few colonies to send a message. The humans would learn to respect the established order. Taemin left the hall with a heavy heart. He sent an encrypted message to his family, telling them to leave Helix space immediately. Then he began preparing his own fleet's defenses. If the council would not listen to his warnings, at least he could try to protect his own people. The war was coming, and Taemin knew it would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The humans would not forgive this attack. They would not forget who was responsible, and they would never ever stop hunting those who hurt them. In 3 days, the Coalition fleet would enter human space. In 3 days, the galaxy would learn why one should never make an enemy of humanity. Captain Bora stood on the bridge of her ship, the UHCS Defender, and watched the alien fleet approach on her screens. She had been defending New Busan Colony for 3 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. 200 alien ships filled the space around the small mining world, their weapons already charging. Bora commanded the entire human defense force in this sector. 3 old frigates and 12 civilian ships they had quickly turned into fighters. Against 200 enemy vessels it seemed hopeless. "Captain," said her communications officer, a young man named Dong-Su, "the alien fleet is sending a message." "Put it through," Bora replied, keeping her voice steady for her crew. The main screen flickered, showing the face of an alien commander. Its skin was green and scaly, with 4 eyes that blinked in sequence. When it spoke, the translation computer made its voice sound cold and mechanical. "Human vessels, this is Fleet Commander Zeltar of the Galactic Coalition. You have 30 minutes to evacuate this world. After that time, we will destroy all human presence here. This is your only warning." Bora looked at her tactical display. New Busan had 40,000 colonists, including 8,000 children. The evacuation ships could maybe save half of them in 30 minutes. "Reply to the alien commander," she told Dong-Su. The communication channel opened again. Bora straightened her uniform and looked directly at the camera. "Fleet Commander Zeltar, this is Captain Bora of the United Human Colonial Service. New Busan is a peaceful mining colony. These people have done nothing wrong. Give us more time to evacuate the civilians, and we will withdraw our military forces." The alien commander's 4 eyes all focused on her at once. "You have 29 minutes remaining." The channel closed. Bora turned to her bridge crew. Every face looked back at her with trust and fear. These were good people. Miners, engineers, and shopkeepers who had volunteered to defend their homes. They deserved better than this. "Listen carefully," Bora said to her crew and the other ship commanders over the radio. "We cannot win this, fight with weapons alone, but we can buy time for more people to escape. And we can make sure these aliens remember the cost of attacking innocents." Her plan was desperate, but clever. The civilian ships would pretend to run away, drawing some alien ships after them. Then they would use the mining explosives they carried to ram enemy vessels. The military ships would stay behind to fight as long as possible. All ships, Bora. Broadcast. Remember why we are here. Those are our families on that planet, our children, our future. Make every shot count. Make every sacrifice meaningful. The battle began exactly 30 minutes later. The alien fleet opened fire with coordinated precision, their energy weapons lighting up space like deadly fireworks. Bora's small fleet scattered in all directions, following her plan. The civilian ship Prosperity, loaded with mining explosives, flew straight at the enemy flagship. Its captain, an old miner named Chulwu, broadcast his final words. "This is for my granddaughter's birthday party tomorrow." The explosion, when it hit, took out 3 alien cruisers. Meanwhile, Bora's frigates darted between the larger enemy ships like angry insects. They used every trick in the book, hiding in the shadows of asteroids, using electronic warfare to confuse alien sensors, even broadcasting fake surrender signals to get close enough for devastating attacks. The freight ship Golden Mountain pretended to malfunction, drifting helplessly. When alien boarding parties approached, Captain Yun-hee activated the ship's self-destruct. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from the planet's surface. But the aliens kept coming. For every enemy ship destroyed, 10 more took its place. Bora's fleet was being overwhelmed. On the planet below, the evacuation was going as fast as possible. Transport ships packed with families lifted off every few minutes, racing away from the battle zone. Many pilots made multiple trips, risking their lives to save more civilians. Admiral Hyun-woo, commanding Earth's defense fleet from the Mars orbital station, watched the battle through long-range sensors. His hands clenched into fists as he saw Bora's ships disappearing one by one from his displays. "Sir," reported his aide, Lieutenant Jae-won, "we have 18 more fleets that could reach New Busan in 6 hours." "Too late," Hyun-woo said grimly, "but prepare them anyway. When this is over, we will need to respond." Back at New Busan, Bora's ship was badly damaged. Half her crew was dead or wounded. Her weapons were nearly gone and her engines were failing. But she kept fighting. "Captain," called her navigator, So-hee. "The last evacuation ship just cleared the system. All civilians are safe." Bora smiled for the first time since the battle began. "Good. Send a message to Earth Command." She stood in front of the communication screen, blood from a head wound running down her face. Behind her, sparks flew from damaged equipment and emergency lights flashed red. "Earth Command, this is Captain Bora of the New Busan Defense Force. The evacuation is complete. All civilians are safe. The alien fleet has superior numbers, but they have paid a heavy price. We destroyed 43 of their ships with only 15 of our own. An alien energy beam struck her ship and the lights flickered. Bora steadied herself against her command chair. They wanted a fight, she continued, her voice growing stronger. Now they have one. They think they can frighten humanity by attacking innocent people. They are wrong. We do not frighten easily, and we do not forgive attacks on our families. Another hit rocked the ship. This time, the artificial gravity failed and everyone floated free. Tell President So-young and the Global Defense Council, make them regret this. Make them understand that humanity protects its own. No matter the cost, no matter how long it takes. The final blast tore through the defender's hull, but Bora's message had already been sent across faster-than-light communication networks to Earth. On Earth, President So-young received the message in her office in Geneva. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but those eyes turned cold as ice as she watched Bora's final transmission. Within an hour, she had called an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. Representatives from every human colony and Earth nation gathered in the secure conference room. "Ladies and gentlemen," President So-young said, her voice carrying across the room like steel. 3 hours ago, alien forces attacked the peaceful colony of New Busan. They killed brave defenders who were protecting innocent civilians. This attack was unprovoked and unjustified. She stood up and everyone in the room could see the anger burning in her eyes. "I am authorizing full military mobilization. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier, and I am activating Project Nemesis." Shocked, whispers filled the room. Project Nemesis was humanity's most secret military program. Most council members had only heard rumors about it. Dr. Ji-hoon, the project's lead scientist, stood up. He was a thin man with tired eyes who looked like he had not slept in days. Project Nemesis has developed ships with experimental faster-than-light tracking systems, he explained. We can follow any vessel back to its point of origin. We can track individual ships across the galaxy. President So-young's voice cut through the room like a blade. They want to play extinction games with humanity. Very well. We will show them what humans do to bullies. The war had begun, and the galaxy was about to learn a terrible lesson about human memory. 6 months after the New Busan massacre, strange reports began reaching the Galactic Council. At first, they seemed unrelated. A mining station here, a patrol ship there, a research facility somewhere else. All simply vanished without sending distress signals. Commander Taemin sat in his small office on Helix Prime, no longer trusted with Field Command after his warnings about humanity. The Council had given him a desk job, reviewing patrol reports and filing incident summaries. It was boring work, but it allowed him to see patterns that others missed. He spread the reports across his desk and studied them carefully. The Helix. Empire had lost 12 border stations in the past month. The Silicon Collective reported 15 missing mining operations. The Whisper Folk had lost an entire trade convoy. Even the mighty architects were reporting attacks on their remote outposts. What troubled Taemin was not just the number of attacks, but their precision. Each target was isolated, lightly defended, and far from help. The attackers struck without warning and left no evidence. No wreckage, no survivors, no clues about who was responsible. But Taemin suspected he knew who was behind the attacks. He began cross-referencing the missing facilities with the personnel records from the New Busan assault. His worst fears were confirmed. Every single attacked location had been staffed by beings who had participated in the assault on the human colony. The humans were not conducting random raids. They were systematically hunting down everyone who had been involved in killing their people. Taemin tried to warn the Council, but they dismissed his concerns. They were too busy arguing about trade routes and territorial disputes to worry about missing border stations. Meanwhile, Captain Minho guided his ship, the UHCS Vengeance, through the darkness between stars. His vessel was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. It was built using Project Nemesis technology, able to travel faster than light without leaving the energy signatures that other ships produced. The Vengeance could track any ship to its destination, follow it through hyperspace, and appear without warning wherever it stopped. It carried advanced AI systems that could analyze alien languages, decode their communications, and predict their movements. Minho's crew was small, but deadly. Each member had volunteered after losing someone at New Busan. They were not soldiers seeking glory. They were hunters seeking justice. "Captain," reported his navigator, a quiet woman named Yu-jin. "We have found the supply convoy from the Silicon Collective mining operation. 3 ships, lightly armed, carrying processed crystals back to their home system." Minho studied the tactical display. These 3 ships had been identified by human intelligence as carrying crew members who had participated in the bombardment of New Busan's civilian shelters. "Are there any innocents aboard?" Minho asked. His intelligence officer, Kyung-ho, checked his files. "Negative, sir. All 3 ships are crewed entirely by personnel who were present at New Busan. The convoy leader is Captain Zeklon, who personally ordered the destruction of the children's hospital." Minho's jaw tightened. He had seen the recordings from New Busan. The children's hospital had been clearly marked with medical symbols, but the aliens had targeted it anyway. "All stop," Minho ordered. "Prepare the communication array." The Vengeance dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly in front of the alien convoy. The surprise was complete. The Silicon Collective ships had no time to raise shields or charge weapons. "This is Captain Minho of the United Human Colonial Service," he broadcast in perfect Silicon Collective language. "You are guilty of war crimes against the civilians of New Busan Colony, specifically the murder of 3,847 innocent people, including 1,203 children. The alien convoy leader responded with typical arrogance. "Human vessel, you are outnumbered 3-1. Withdraw immediately, or we will destroy you." Minho almost smiled. "Captain Zeklon, you misunderstand the situation. This is not a battle, this is an execution." The Vengeance opened fire with weapons the aliens had never seen before. Plasma beams that could cut through any known shield. Missiles that could track their targets through hyperspace. In less than 3 minutes, all 3 alien ships were drifting hulks. But Minho was not finished. He activated the Vengeance's powerful communication array and sent a message on all Galactic Council emergency frequencies. "Attention, Galactic Council. This is Captain Minho speaking for the United Human Colonial Service. We have just destroyed the Silicon Collective convoy designated SC-7749. All crew members aboard were participants in the unprovoked attack on New Busan colony." His voice was calm and professional, which somehow made it more terrifying. "We know who you are. We know where you live. We know the names of everyone who participated in the massacre of our civilians. This is not a war. This is justice. We will find you all, no matter how far you run or how well you hide." Then came the part that would haunt alien nightmares for years to come. Minho began reading names. Captain Bo-Ra, killed defending innocent civilians. Lieutenant Dongsu, killed defending innocent civilians. Chief Engineer Chulwu, killed defending innocent civilians. The list went on and on. Every human who had died at New Busan, their names, their ages, their roles in the colony. Minho's voice never wavered, never showed emotion. He simply read, the names like a priest reading from a holy book. "These people are dead because of your actions," he concluded. "We will speak their names over the grave of everyone responsible. This message will repeat." And it did repeat. For the next 6 months, every time human ships destroyed an alien target, the same message would broadcast across the galaxy. The names of the dead, spoken with quiet dignity, followed by the promise that justice would come for all. The psychological effect was devastating. Alien crew members who had been at New Busan began to crack under the pressure. Some deserted their posts and fled to distant systems. Others went into hiding. A few even contacted human authorities to surrender, begging for protection from their own governments. Commander Tai Min watched these developments with growing dread. He had tried to warn the Council about human nature, but even he had underestimated their capacity for systematic revenge. The humans were not just hunting their enemies, they were studying them. Human intelligence networks had penetrated alien communication systems, government databases, and military records. They knew more about some alien species than those species knew about themselves. Worse, the humans were patient. They would track a target for months, learning their habits, their roots, their weaknesses. Then they would strike at the perfect moment, when their enemy was alone and vulnerable. The galaxy was beginning to realize a terrible truth. The humans had not started this war for territory or resources. They were fighting for something much more dangerous, for memory, for honor, for the principle that attacking innocents must have consequences. And unlike other species, humans never forgot and never forgave. Dr. Nari, working in her secure laboratory on Earth, put the finishing touches on humanity's next surprise for their enemies. Project Nemesis was expanding beyond simple tracking systems. They were developing weapons that could pursue fleeing ships across interdimensional barriers. "Director?" asked her assistant, a young scientist named Wu Jin. "Are we really going to chase these aliens across the entire galaxy?" Dr. Nari looked up from her work, her eyes hard as steel. "They wanted to make this about extinction," she said quietly. "They just didn't realize whose extinction it would be." The hunt had only just begun, and already the galaxy was learning to fear the sound of human voices reading the names of the dead. 2 years into the war, the Galactic Coalition was falling apart. What had started as a simple military action against upstart humans had become a nightmare that haunted every corner of the galaxy. The Helix Empire was the first to break. After human infiltrators somehow penetrated their most secure world and assassinated the entire military command staff in a single night. They sued for separate peace. The message they sent to Earth was simple: we surrender, please make it stop. The Silicon Collective abandoned their frontier territories entirely, pulling back to their core systems and building massive defense networks. It did not matter. Human ships appeared inside their supposedly impenetrable barriers, struck their targets with surgical precision, and vanished again. President So Young had aged visibly during the war years. Her hair was now completely white, and lines of stress marked her face. But her resolve had only grown stronger. She stood before the reformed Global Defense Council in her office, reading reports from the front lines. The Whisper folk have requested a ceasefire, reported Defense Minister Chang Ho. They are offering to pay reparations for their part in the new Busan attack. What about the others? So Young asked. The architects are still refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing. The Bone Eaters claim they were only following orders. The Crystalline Republic has gone completely silent. Our intelligence suggests their government has collapsed. So Young nodded grimly. Send the same message we have sent to all of them. Surrender unconditionally and face war crimes tribunals, or face extinction. There is no third option. Her words were not just political rhetoric. Human hunter teams had spent 2 years methodically tracking down everyone involved in the new Busan massacre. They had developed a terrifying reputation for patience and precision. Commander Tae Min, now serving as an unofficial intermediary between the alien survivors and human forces, traveled to a neutral station for a secret meeting with Admiral Hyun-woo. The human military leader looked tired but determined. Admiral, Tae Min began carefully, my people are beginning to understand the mistake they made. The council that authorized the attack on New Busan no longer exists. Most of the military officers involved are dead. Perhaps it is time to consider terms for ending this conflict. Admiral Hyun-woo studied the alien commander across the meeting table. Commander, I respect you. You tried to warn your people about what would happen, but you need to understand something about humans. He activated a holographic display showing the new Busan colony before the attack. Children playing in parks, families working in gardens, schools full of young humans learning about the galaxy. Your people killed children, Tae Min. Families. Innocent civilians who had never hurt anyone. Our response is not about cruelty, it is about mathematics. Every life taken must be accounted for. The display changed to show current human operations across the galaxy. Red dots marked successful hunter missions. Blue dots showed ongoing pursuits. There were hundreds of them. We have cataloged every alien involved in the attack down to the lowest maintenance crew member, Hyun-woo continued. We know their names, their families, their favorite foods, where they went to school, and we will find them all. Tae Min stared at the display in horror. Admiral, some of these individuals were just following orders. They are not war criminals. They participated in the murder of innocents, Hyun-woo replied without emotion. In human law and human culture, that makes them complicit. We do not recognize following orders as an excuse for participating in genocide. The most terrifying aspect of the human campaign was not their advanced weapons or superior tactics. It was their systematic approach to justice. They had turned revenge into a science. Captain Minho continued to lead the most successful hunter team in the human fleet. His ship, the Vengeance, had become a legend of terror throughout alien space. But Minho took no pleasure in his work. He saw it as a duty to the dead. Captain, reported his intelligence officer Kyung-ho, we have located the final member of the Whisper Folk Squadron that bombed the New Busan hospital. He has been hiding in the Outer Ring colonies for 18 months. Minho studied the target profile. The alien was just a junior pilot who had followed orders from his superiors. He had a family of his own now, living quietly on a remote farming world. Sir, added Navigator Yujin hesitantly, the target has 2 young offspring. The intelligence report suggests he has had no contact with Whisper Folk military forces since the battle. Minho was quiet for a long moment. His crew knew he sometimes struggled with the moral weight of their mission, but they also knew he had never wavered from his duty. Prepare the pursuit course, he ordered finally. Justice does not have an expiration date. Back on Earth, Dr. Nari had completed humanity's most advanced weapon yet. Self-replicating hunter probes that could pursue fleeing ships across interdimensional barriers. Each probe was equipped with advanced AI and enough fuel to travel for decades. The probe will lock onto the target ship's unique energy signature, she explained to President So-young during a classified briefing. It can follow that signature through hyperspace, across parallel dimensions, even through time distortions. Once activated, it will never stop hunting its target. President So-young studied the sleek, deadly-looking device. How many can we produce? We already have 10,000 ready for deployment, Dr. Nari replied. Production facilities on Mars and Luna are creating more every day. The president nodded. Send one probe after every remaining fugitive from New Busan. Let the galaxy know that running is pointless. The psychological warfare was as effective as the physical attacks. Alien species that had never been involved in the original assault began distancing themselves from those who had. Ancient alliances crumbled as civilizations chose survival over loyalty. Some alien governments tried to hunt down their own war criminals, hoping to appease human anger. Others attempted to negotiate secret deals, offering information about their former allies in exchange for protection, but the humans remained focused on their original mission. They were not interested in conquering the galaxy or ruling other species. They simply wanted every being who had participated in the massacre of innocent civilians to face justice. Captain Subin commanded a human intelligence ship deep in enemy territory. Her mission was different from the hunter teams. She gathered information about war criminals who had gone into hiding. We have intercepted communications from the Bone Eater homeworld, she reported to Earth Command. They are discussing plans to destroy all records of the New Busan operation, hoping to hide the identities of their participants. The response from Admiral Hyun-woo was immediate and harsh. Inform the Bone Eaters that destroying evidence of war crimes is itself a crime. They have 24 hours to surrender all records voluntarily, or we will take them by force. 23 hours later, the Bone Eater government transmitted every document, recording, and personnel file related to New Busan. They had learned that defying human demands only made their situation worse. As the war entered its third year, alien species throughout the galaxy began to understand a fundamental truth about humanity. They were not particularly strong or fast or smart compared to other species, but they possessed something that made them uniquely dangerous. They never gave up, never forgot, and never stopped caring about justice for the innocent. Commander Tae-min sent regular reports to the few remaining members of the original Galactic Council. His message was always the same: surrender completely or face extinction. The humans will not negotiate, will not compromise, and will not stop until every guilty party is dead. The galaxy was learning to fear not human strength, but human memory. 5 years after the New Busan massacre, the war officially ended not with a treaty, but with the complete surrender of what remained of the Galactic Council. The Great Hall where the conflict had begun now stood half empty. Of the original 47 species that had voted for war against humanity, 37 had surrendered unconditionally. 8 had gone extinct through their own desperate actions rather than face human justice. 2 had fled to other galaxies entirely. Commander Tae-min stood in a human courtroom on Earth, not as a defendant but as a witness. The room was simple and clean, with none of the grand decorations of the old Galactic Council chamber. Human judges, chosen for their wisdom rather than their political power, presided over the trials of alien war criminals. Tae-min had become an unlikely ally of humanity. His early warnings about human nature and his refusal to participate in the New Busan assault had earned him respect among human leaders. Now he helped prosecute the very beings he had once served alongside. "Commander," asked the human prosecutor, a stern woman named Judge Hai-wan, "did Fleet Commander Zekalon of the Silicon Collective personally order the targeting of civilian shelters at New Busan?" Tae-min looked at the alien defendant who sat in chains designed for his crystalline form. Once, Zeklon had commanded fleets and demanded respect from dozens of species. Now he was just another war criminal facing judgment. Yes, Taman answered, clearly. I heard the order myself. When his tactical officer suggested avoiding civilian areas, Zeklon said the attack would be more effective if it targeted families. The courtroom was silent except for the quiet sound of the recording devices. These trials were being broadcast across the galaxy, showing every species what happened to those who targeted innocents. Judge Haywan nodded. Thank you, Commander. Your testimony has been invaluable in ensuring justice for the victims. In return, for his cooperation, Taman's people had received lenient treatment in the post-war order. The Helix Empire was allowed to keep most of its territory and maintain limited military forces, as long as they accepted human oversight of their activities. Admiral Hyun-woo, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Terran Space Forces, established the new rules that would govern galactic civilization. He worked from a modest office on Earth, preferring practical efficiency over the grand displays of power that aliens seem to love. The terms are simple, he explained to a gathering of alien ambassadors. Humanity does not seek to rule other species. We have no interest in your internal politics, your trade disputes, or your territorial arguments. We have only one rule. Do not attack innocent civilians, especially human civilians. The alien delegates listened carefully. They had learned to pay close attention when humans spoke about rules. The consequences for breaking this rule are complete annihilation. Hyun-woo continued in the same calm tone he might use to discuss the weather. Not just of your military forces, but of your entire civilization. We have demonstrated our ability to hunt individuals across the galaxy for years. We can just as easily hunt entire species to extinction. Ambassador Felkara of the surviving Whisperfolk raised a trembling appendage. Supreme Commander, what if the attack is accidental? What if civilian casualties occur during legitimate military operations? Hyun-woo's expression did not change. Intent matters. Accidents will be investigated and judged based on evidence, but deliberate targeting of non-combatants will result in the complete destruction of those responsible and their supporters. The new order was enforced not by human occupation armies, but by the mere threat of their return. Every alien species had heard the stories of human hunter teams appearing without warning, of human intelligence networks that knew things about alien leaders that they had forgotten themselves. Captain Minho had returned to civilian life, but his legend lived on. Alien children learned cautionary tales about the human captain who had chased war criminals to the edge of reality itself. Parents would tell misbehaving young ones that if they hurt innocents, Captain Minho would find them. The phrase, remember, New Busan had become synonymous across the galaxy with the concept of inevitable justice. It was carved into monuments, spoken in diplomatic meetings, and whispered by those who considered violence against civilians. President So-young, now in her final term, gave her farewell address to the reformed Galactic Council. The new chamber was smaller and more modest than the old one. Representatives from surviving species sat quietly, knowing their voices carried less weight than they once had. When this war began, So-young said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber, we tried to be peaceful neighbors. We offered trade, cultural exchange, and cooperation. You chose violence instead. She paused, looking at each alien representative in turn. You targeted our children, our families, our innocent civilians. You thought we would accept this aggression and submit to your demands. You were wrong. The chamber remained completely silent. Even species that had not participated in the original attack listened carefully to her words. Now you know what humans do to those who threaten our families. We do not forget. We do not forgive attacks on innocents, and we never, ever stop pursuing justice. So-young's final words became part of galactic history, repeated in schools and government buildings throughout known space. Let this lesson last for 1,000 generations. Touch our children, and we will end you. All of you. Completely and forever. Dr. Ji-hoon, now elderly but still sharp, stood in his laboratory as he deactivated the last Nemesis Hunter probe. Its target, a minor technician who had helped maintain weapons used at New Busan, had finally been eliminated after a 7-year pursuit across 3 galactic sectors. "Sir," asked his young assistant, a woman named Ji Hyun, "what happens to all our military technology now that the war is over?" Dr. Ji Hoon smiled grimly. "We keep it, all of it, and we make sure every species in the galaxy knows we have it. The best way to prevent another war is to ensure that everyone remembers the consequences of the last one." The human hunter fleets remained active, though their mission had changed. Instead of pursuing war criminals, they now served as a reminder of human reach and determination. They would appear without warning at diplomatic meetings, alien military exercises, and government ceremonies. They said nothing and did nothing threatening. Their mere presence was message enough. Commander Taimin completed his final report as a witness in the war crimes trials. Of the 12,847 aliens identified as participants in the New Busan massacre, 12,846 had been found and brought to justice. Only one remained unaccounted for, a junior communications officer who had died of natural causes while fleeing human pursuit. Even death had not saved him from human justice. A hunter probe had been sent to his gravesite to confirm his identity and mark his final resting place. The message was clear: humanity's reach extended even beyond death. As Taemin prepared to return to his homeworld, he reflected on the lesson the galaxy had learned. Humans were not the strongest species, or the smartest, or the most technologically advanced. But they possessed something that made them uniquely dangerous: an absolute commitment to protecting innocent life and punishing those who threatened it. The galaxy was at peace now, but it was a peace built on fear and respect for human resolve. Every alien leader knew that another New Busan would result in their complete annihilation. The math was simple and terrifying. Attack human innocence, and humanity would end your entire civilization. Captain Min Ho, now working as a civilian cargo pilot, received regular messages from alien governments thanking him for his service in ending the war. They understood that his relentless pursuit of justice had ultimately saved countless lives by demonstrating the futility of challenging humanity. The war was over, but its lessons would echo through galactic history forever. Humanity had proven that some principles were worth fighting for, no matter the cost. They had shown the galaxy what happened when a species that never forgot was pushed too far. And in the quiet years that followed, when young beings of all species learned about the New Busan War, they learned the most important lesson of all: never make an enemy of those who will never stop hunting you.